The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supply sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.
Hello and welcome once more to the West Ham Massive. Thanks for joining us, and please don't forget to like, comment on and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Hit the bell icon and click all for alerts of new content. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this particular endeavour. Little bit of housekeeping, as I always like to do, just in case there's anybody watching of a sensitive disposition. If adult language offends you, then you might want to stop what you're doing now, move on and do something else, because if we let the odd swear word slip out, it is what it is. We do what we do, and if you don't like it, don't bother. Anyway, we're going to discuss that absolute enthralling encounter that took place yesterday at the London Stadium. Match day 20 of 38, where West Ham United and Brighton Hove Albion battled out to a standstill, a 0-0 draw. Keep an eye on the ticker at the bottom, ladies and gentlemen. It will immediately change with little facts and figures about the game that took place yesterday, such as the official. So, Ben, it was a tough watch. I can't lie.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, Rob, I couldn't make the preview, but I had a feeling. I just got a sense this was coming, and to be honest, it wasn't that bad in terms of an overall result. And you know, off the back of 3 wins over Christmas, 3 clean sheets, I kind of felt, you know, the squad was being tested. Evening all, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Likewise.
The squad was being tested pretty much for the first time all season, Rob. I mean, we've been quite lucky with injuries up until now. You look at some of the other teams that, you know, it seems like they've had a lengthy injury list, and we haven't. We've, you know, broadly speaking, we've only had 1 or 2. Now it seems there's a few more building, and we need to use the squad more. And you know, let's be honest, it wasn't a great spectacle. But if you'd have given me a point before the game, I would have said yes. And sort of with 20 minutes to go, I would have snapped your hand off, because Brighton were definitely looking the more likely.
What were your thoughts an hour before kickoff when you saw our starting a lineup? I mean, there was obviously the omissions that we knew about in Kudus and Paquetá. There was the omission that we suspected would be of Aguirre. Zuma, he didn't make it. Probably the surprise omission, I think, came at right back with Vladimir Kufal not involved. Ben Johnson played. And I got to be honest, I don't know about you. I actually thought he had a decent game. But what were your thoughts on the starting 11, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, when you looked at our starting 11, yeah, you couldn't help feel, you know, very, very far away from the first choice. You know, 3 out of the starting back 4 were out, and yeah, couldn't agree more, Mark. Yeah, that's a good Christmas, mate. Definitely. Yeah. And I think at the back 4, you know, the 2 centre half showed it against Arsenal. And I've always been a big fan of Ben Johnson. I think he's been a little bit unlucky this season. I think Moyes could have used him a little bit more in some of the cup games and the Europa League just to get him up to speed. And I think when he has played, what I like about Ben Johnson, he does give it a go in terms of trying to be composed, and he doesn't just clip it down the line. Do you know what I mean? He'll try and cut inside, keep the ball. But look, I think back four was weakened, and the Kudos and Paqueta, taking them out, and Benrahma and Fornals in the form they're in this season, it's a huge drop in quality. So I thought, when I see the starting lineup, I thought the game might pan out the way it did, and that if we were going to score, it was going to be a bit of a scrappy one to try and win the game. And when I see the lineup, mate, I was thinking I'd be happy with a point right now.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I was sort of sitting there before the game thinking Fornals or Benrahma. I was certain he was going to play Danny Ings. I've got to be perfectly honest with you. So he pulled a bit of a sort of like a curveball on me, but he played both Benrahma and Fornals, neither of whom I think particularly grabbed the opportunity that they were given, to be perfectly honest with you.
No, I don't think so, mate. I don't think either of them had absolute stinking games.
No.
And I think they tried hard. You know, I just think, but for whatever reason, I don't think either of them really want to be here anymore, Rob. I think they know their time's up, and there's just, you know, it's not for the want of trying. And actually, it was quite interesting because when Benrahma's number went up to be substituted, I'd been thinking, right, let's make a sub. And it took about sort of 5 minutes for the ball to go out and this, that, and the other. And that was actually Benrahma's best 5 minutes of the game. He actually done a couple of little jinking runs and little passes. And I thought, it's a real shame for his confidence that it felt like he was just getting into the game, and then he was hauled off. But it was just bad luck on his part. And him and Fornals both look sad figures when they're playing at the moment. They don't look happy in their football, and you can see that because nothing really they're trying seems to be coming off.
No real spark there, is there? No sort of, as Thierry Henry would have said when he did the Renault adverts, no va-va-voom.
No, but I think, you know, out of the two, I would say Benrahma was slightly better performer. The thing is, they just both look quite predictable. You know Benrahma's just going to cut in and have a shot, and he did in the first half that went about a metre wide. He had a couple of little crosses into the box. So, but I just think I think their time is up at West Ham, both of them. And if we can get, I don't know, probably 30 to 40 mil for the pair, we'll have done all right to try and invest in the squad to get some hungry talent into the scene, because they look like they've lost a bit of hunger, those two.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with that statement. We get to the half-time interval. The scores were dead level, obviously. That was how it started. That was how it finished. There was no change in the middle, obviously. What were your thoughts at the midway point of the match? Did you think that we were showing anything? I mean, I can remember, because we had 2 shots on target. Both of them came in the first half. One from Ward-Prowse, one from, I think it was Bowen, which Jason Steele did quite well to tip onto the post. But other than that, I don't really remember too much sort of like being offered from West Ham as a whole. But how did you see things?
I actually thought on the balance of the whole game, the first half was probably the better performance. As you said, Rob, I think you're saying we had 2 shots in the whole game and they both come in the first half. I think the first 20 minutes, Brighton just dominated the ball and we needed to get amongst them a little bit more. And then I'd say the latter half of the first half, I think it was probably marginally the better side. I think the Bowen chance when he burst through was actually offside anyway. The Ward-Prowse effort was a good effort and a good save. And then there was a little opportunity right at the end of the first half. I think it was from we recycled a set play, the ball come across, and I think there was Mavropanos, Alvarez, there was 2 or 3 players all sliding in, everyone missed it. And I kind of felt that was our big chance, albeit that we did have another big chance in the second half. But if we could have ended the first half, but I'd say, first half was okay. It was probably a 6.5 out of 10 performance first half. And, the players that come in, especially Ben Johnson and Mavropanos or Bonner, gave a good account of themselves.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I guess because obviously in our previous 2 matches we played Manchester United and Arsenal and beat them both 2-0, one home, one away. And yeah, all right, there were certain points, especially in the Arsenal game, where we was under the pump. But let's make no mistake, anytime you can go to the Emirates and pick up a win against a team that are gunning for the Premier League, whether they win it or not, you're doing something right. But even in that game, if I'm being brutally honest, like I said in the game against Tottenham, I think if they'd have had their shooting boots on, we'd have been in the shit. We'd have really been in the shit. And we've been quite fortunate that we've had Areola and our backline, whatever the consistency of it has been, that they've been resolute, they've been dogged, determined, organised, all of the characteristics that you need a backline to be. The problem is that sort of like it's the bit that's in front of them that for me just doesn't seem to be functioning as as I think it ought to. And like I say, I'm saying that despite the fact, as Mark referenced earlier, we got 10 points out of 12, but I still look and just think, I don't know. I just think we've been a little bit fortunate, like I say, that the other teams we've been playing haven't been at the races, and we've capitalised.
I think what we've got, Rob, I think what I'm noticing, and like I say, I'm really pleased with the festive period, as Sharky. Really pleased. I think what we're establishing is the last few games have shown me we got a solid and resolute defence. And the midfield is part of that as well, and everyone's part of that, but it's mainly the defence, yeah? And then we've got some real attacking threat as the front 3, i.e. your Paqueta, your Kudos, and your Bowen, yeah? But actually, the midfield composition that we have is not really a midfield that is going to dominate a game. Alvarez is your destroyer and your tackler, and he's a good passer and he'll move it on. But Ward-Prowse and Souček, they're not technicians of the football. Yeah. One is the guy who's going to ghost into the box and nick you a goal, and he will work he'll work his nuts off, but he's not really going to dominate a game technically. And Ward-Prowse is in there for his set pieces and his hard work as well. Yeah. So I think both of those players are a reflection of the manager, that they're dogged, they're determined, but let's be realistic about it. Brighton overall dominated that game and were much the better football team, because I think that's a reflection of their manager and their philosophy. And I might come on to it in a little while at the end, Rob.
Yeah.
The players they've got on paper, they don't look any better than our players. But I think it's the philosophy and the way they're drilled into to try and want to play. And actually, our first team is worth a lot more than them. Do you get what I'm saying?
On paper, you're not wrong.
No, I'm not talking about on paper. I'm talking about on transfer fees that were paid. Yeah. I've calculated it. Our starting 11 last night was 218 million. Brighton's was 88. And it's quite interesting that if you was looking at that, you wouldn't say, well, that team's worth double that, would you? No, it was just
you just said it was the other way round, I think.
You'd have said it was the other way around. But look, I think overall first half, you was fairly happy to get in at 0-0 and regroup to see what we could have done in the second half.
Well, yeah, let's move on to it. That again, if I thought that the first half was a tough watch, or was I in for a treat in the second 45? Fuck
You,
me.
you,
Literally, if I wasn't nodding off to sleep, Ben, and I can't lie, that was literally what happened last night. Now it has to be said, I had a tough day at work, so part of that would have been tiredness, but it was just like, oh, for fuck's sake, there just seemed to be no cutting edge, anything sort of going forwards as far as we was concerned, and for most of it, we were backpedaling. Like I say, from a defensive point of view, I thought we were superb. Let me get that out there, because football is defense and offense. You got to have both of those things working in synchronicity, and there's got to be a balance there for me. And I don't think last night I saw that balance. I saw a team that was superb defensively, offensively, not really anything going on.
Yeah.
I mean, the second half, I can only remember one real opportunity. Correct me if I'm wrong. That was the opportunity to fell to Soucek, which he put wide. Now, I'll be honest with you, when it went to him, I sort of clocked it was him that the ball was going to, and I'm like, this is it. Put it wide.
Yeah, no, that was the golden. That was the only opportunity, and from sort of 7 yards out, he should have scored. He should have done better. That's what he's in the team to do. But he's bailed us out a fair few times recently, so you can't really dig him out too much. But yeah, that was it, Rob. And I think what we found last night is, regardless of how brilliant he's done, I'm still not convinced of Bowen as the main striker, because he's 5'9", and I think when you've got games like that, I think Bowen had, in my opinion, quite a poor game last night, and what that was just holding it up, holding it up, and then bringing others into play to give us some breathing space. We was just knocking it up, and it was just coming straight back down, So back to us. And, Brighton had numerous opportunities that went narrowly wide. Areola, he made some really good saves, particularly, made a good one in the first half. And Areola looked really strong. But I think it just looked to me that Moyes, and I think a lot was it down to the personnel that was out, Rob. It's pretty much half of our team, half our first team was out.
Yeah.
But we're going to need to cope with that a little bit, because not all of them are coming back anytime soon. But I think Moyes probably looked at it and thought, look, we've just won 3 on the spin. And I think in his head, he's thought, with the team we've got out, we just need to be dogged, nick the point and move on. So, I don't want to dwell on, in my opinion, it was a little bit, not a particularly inspiring performance. But if you looked at it against our bogey team, we've just on the back of three wins and clean sheets. Let's just keep the unbeaten run going, and that's what we've done. So,
yeah, and I mean, we've
in that respect.
Yeah, and I mean, we've taken 4 points off of the team that are directly below us at this moment in time in the Premier League table. A team that, like us, got into the Europa League, has got into the last 16. They're not a mug team, and I don't want it to come across that I'm looking down on Brighton. Oh, little Brighton, we should smash them to bits 5-0. That's no way. I mean, they're where they are on merit, and they're a very well run club, and they play a good, exciting brand of football. I take my hat off to them. But make no mistake, as far as I was concerned, I think we should have shown more going forwards. Like I say, I reiterate, defensively, first class. Offensively, much work to be done. And yes, Paquetá was missing. Yes, Kudus was missing. Yes, Kufau, who obviously gets forward quite effectively down our right flank, was missing. But yeah, and obviously Aguirre as well. He's a good exponent of playing, 30, 40, 50-yard diagonals from back to front, which gets us sort of like moving a little bit. So all those players were out, and I get that. But if you look at the injury list and the absentees that Brighton had to deal with,
Yeah.
I think that you have to sort of go, do you know what? Actually, I know we had players out, but they had a whole first 11 out.
Yeah, yeah. And what was interesting, Rob, I think a lot of the time, in terms, in terms of if you're going to dominate a game, it's your midfield.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? And I look at our midfield of Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, and Soucek. That's 85 million quid's worth of talent there,
Yep.
right? Brighton's midfield is 12 million quid. Yeah, that is Pascal Gross, 3 million quid, Billy
Good player.
Gilmore, 9 mil, and James Milner, 0. Yeah, do
Billy
you know what I
Gilmore
mean?
went for 9 million.
Yeah,
Fuck.
you
I
know,
never knew that.
So one of those, you kind of think, hold on, like how can we spend so much more? Yeah, our players just don't look as good, regardless of where we are in the table, we're slightly ahead of them. But look, Brighton, I take my hat off to Brighton. I mean, they played good football. They had 2 or 3 youngsters on the pitch. Hinshelwood looks a good player. Buonanotte looks a good player. Evan Ferguson come on. So I think, they're a pucker outfit. And, there's a few, I'd like to think there's a few little lessons we can learn from them.
Well, we had a couple of youngsters on the bench. Unfortunately, none of them made it onto the pitch. In fact, there was only one substitution that David Moyes actually made. Yes, it was a youth team player in Mubama. So that, I suppose, is something that I sort of look at and go, okay, well, I've maligned him for not utilising the youth players that we've got coming through. There he is. He has utilised a youth player. So I've got to give him a little bit of credit for that. But once again, I sort of look and go, only one substitute made in the match. He's flogging the players, the sort of like the mainstays, like the Ward-Prowses and the Souceks and the Bowens. He's flogging them to death. And I do think that at some point that is going to cost us. I wonder whether that's what caused the injury to Paquetá, whether it was just a cumulative using him week on week, and then eventually something's just given way.
Yeah.
But I just wonder it's going to happen again with another player.
Yeah, I think that's why we need a few reinforcements in January, Rob, that we can rely on. I think unfortunately Mubama come on, and we're all willing him to do the business, but he didn't really get enough. I think it was Harry Kane or Erling Haaland that come on. They wouldn't have done any better than him. Do you know what I mean? I think he didn't really get a chance to do anything.
No service.
Yeah, he was running around in our half more than anything. And so look, no slant on him, but look, it's been a great festive period. We've got, we're top of the form table over that period of time, and we've got a nice cup game against lower league opposition coming up.
What happens there, didn't you?
But like I say, it was good to see, the defensive unit is growing stronger every week.
Yep.
Ben Johnson's come back and put a marker in the ground to say, look, you can rely on me. And like I say, Mavropanos is just getting more and more experience with every game he plays. So the fact is, we got a point. We got some more experience for some of the team, and I think if we can shift some bodies in and out over the next week or so, then we can, keep doing some damage at the top end of the table.
Talk to me about who you thought the star players were for each team. Who was the star man for West Ham? Who was the star man for Brighton, in your opinion?
I'd have to say, I think probably, Edson Alvarez was probably our best player.
Okay.
I see a little montage. Someone put a little montage together, and he broke the play up nicely. He was getting about the pitch, putting some good tackles. I think so overall, I think he was probably our best player, and I think he's probably been our best player for the last few weeks actually. And when he's not in the team, you really notice it.
I think it was probably between him and Areola for me. And given that one's a goalkeeper and one's a CDM, I think that probably tells you what you need to know about the the bulk of play in the match. What about Brighton? Anybody stood out for you in the opposition team?
I think they all played really well. I think, do you know what? Maybe a little bit of a sentimental one. I'm going to say James Milner.
Okay.
I think he equalled someone's. I think he's now joint second
Joint
or
top.
something. Joint top, and I think he looked really good.
Sorry, joint second top. It's
Joint
him
second.
and Ryan Giggs.
Yeah, he needs to beat Gareth Barry, doesn't he?
Another 30 matches, I think it is.
Yeah, but I think, I think everyone from Brighton played well. I think they're just a good side, They all sort of move around and interchange. So I think Milner, I thought that Hinchell would look good for Brighton, the young lad. I thought Billy Gilmore controlled the game really well. I've had conflicting thoughts and feelings just over halfway.
This is probably me.
Yeah.
This encapsulates my thoughts on it, to be honest.
Yeah.
The Cyclops is the same.
I think I don't think what we're looking for is, when people go, entertained. When I'm talking about entertained, I don't mean loads of fancy flicks and fucking Cruyff turns and all that. Yeah. But, just look at Brighton. It's just good passing football, nice and simple, moving and attacking. So look, we've had some good performances, and where we are in the league, you can't really say, you can't really knock it.
No,
but the football could be better. But look, that's just off the back of a bit of a boring 0-0 draw. So we move on to the next game, because let's be honest, the last 2-3 games before that have been really good.
Was the final score a fair reflection on how the match panned out, in your opinion? Taking your West Ham glasses off for a moment.
No, I would say a fair reflection of the game would have been a Brighton win. Yep. Looking at the stats, I think they had 22 shots.
Yep.
Don't know how many we had, but it was you could probably count them on one hand.
We had 6, of which 2 were on target. They had 22, 8 on target.
Yeah. So I think overall they were the better side, which is a little bit disappointing, because we're above them in the league, we're at home, and like I say, we've assembled a team that's cost double the amount that they've cost. But like I say, this is not a dig at Moyes. This is just what I think is a fact. The team is a reflection of Moyes. Moyes' philosophy is stay in the game and hang in there and try and nick it. Whereas, say, De Zerbi's would be a different philosophy, and that's a reflection of the team. So, got to hold the hands up and say, I think Brighton probably should have won.
How do you think this result, if it will impact on our next match in any way, shape, or form?
I think it. Yeah, I think this. Yeah, Moyes is not an idiot. I think he knows the players he can rely on, and he knows who he can't. But he, in his opinion, he ain't got much of a choice at the minute, and I think he needs to move a few bodies out and get a few fresh bodies in. I'd like to think, another clean sheet keeps the unbeaten run going, and the good thing for me was Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson, young lad, not had much opportunity this season, but I think he should be going into the next game confident, and I'd like to think he starts the next game.
Yeah, but I'll say I'm not saying he didn't play like sort of prime Cafu or anything like that. No, but I think when you sort of like view it through the prism of he's not really played that much this season. I actually think in his last outing where he played at left back away at Liverpool, I don't think he played that badly. I know we got absolutely pumped, but I don't think he played that badly in all honesty. No, and he obviously got the assist for the goal that Bowen got on the night. And I again, last night, was he our standout player? No, but I don't really see that he did too much wrong. And it's like, well, I don't know the reasons behind why Kufal didn't make because he wasn't in the squad at all, was he, Kufal?
No.
So it's like, and I've heard whispers as to, is it tied in with this sort of this rumor that he's not happy with the contract extension, blah blah blah. Has it got anything to do with that? Has he? Because we know that once you're you fall out with Moyes, it's a very tough road back. I mean, look at Maxwell Cornet. So I don't know. Is it possible? Is it possible that this is Ben Johnson's opportunity? Is he going to grab it? Possibly. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. Well, look. Hopefully, it was just an illness. I'd like to think, but I do think Kufau has actually agreed the contract, hasn't he?
He has, but apparently the word is that. Well, I think it was an extension that the club activated.
Right.
But I think he's from whispers I've heard that, and I'm not in the know any more than you are. I'm just reading what I've read out there.
Yeah.
And it's like he seems to have the ump over something, and it's like, well, is it connected to that? Are we putting 2 and 2 together and making 5? Or what's going on?
No, I like to think he's got a good attitude, but yeah, I know what you mean. I did hear the same. He wasn't happy.
So he was flu foul.
But look, I think so. Obviously, we've got a cup game next. Might be an opportunity for some of the other players to put a marker in the ground and see how they get on. And then after that, we've got Sheffield United, who are obviously in the bottom 3, and they're right at the bottom of the form table as well. So hopefully, we get a few of the big hitters back for that game and just carry on our good form. Obviously, we'd like to go far in the FA Cup. So, hopefully we get a good performance against Bristol City.
Final thoughts before we knock it on the head?
No, just to say, really good festive period from us. Obviously, we're top of that sort of form table over Christmas. So I think we need to do a bit of business in January, Rob. So maybe we do a little session on that. But
my diary's free.
I think we need to get some of the squad players out. I think Carer's on his way out.
Yeah.
Who's done fuck all, quite frankly, and it doesn't look
up to all right.
Yeah, he might be. He was never.
He was a panic signing. He was a signing once because we had an injury to, was it Dawson?
Right.
And that was the catalyst. I think I'm sure it was an injury to Dawson or Zuma or someone like that. And that was the reason why he was bought. I think if that hadn't have happened, he would never have become a West Ham player. I don't believe. Yeah,
it was a bit of an odd, you think on paper, Rob, this lad's a German international that's played for PSG. So, surely he should be good enough for us, but he never looked good enough. He didn't. It looked like there was better centre halves and better right backs. So the better move for all parties was that he moves on. So let's try and do a bit of business, get some exciting talent in. I'd like to think get some nice ball players in that can keep hold of the football, and they might keep you awake at the next game.
Hopefully, so. He is hoping. Oh, excuse me. Got a bit of a cough, guys. Please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you haven't done so already, hit the bell icon and click all. You'll get alerts on any new content as and when it's added. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this endeavor. We are going to disappear and we will catch you again. I think our next planned one is going to be the Bristol City preview, I'm guessing, which will be probably Saturday, I'm guessing, Ben?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's go for it.
Brilliant. Guys, thanks for joining us. Stay safe. Come on, you Irons. Please don't forget to give your support to the Iron Supporting Food Banks charity, and we will see you next time. Take care.
The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supplies sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children, in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.